Alter your own clothes and save a bundle. Here's how.
Well, there's probably nothing as frustrating as a broken zipper on a pair of jeans or any pair of pants for that matter. So let's go through the steps of replacing a zipper. It's really actually quite simple. As it happens, this little girl's pair of jeans zipper isn't really broken, but we want to learn how to do this and do it accurately and do it functionally. So we're going to go ahead and rip out this zipper and put in a new zipper. Your eyes aren't fooling you. This is a black zipper. Ideally, I would have liked to have found a navy blue zipper, but it certainly is functional. Now you'll find that you'll spend as much time ripping out the old zipper, as much time or more than you do actually sewing in the new zipper. So take your time, use a good seam ripper. This is heavy-duty stitching on jeans and a lot of stitching. In some places you may need to use a razor blade. At first I'm going to release the waistband underneath the snap on the left-hand side as you face it, or the side of the zipper that is underneath the flap. Then, after I release it, from here to here, I'm going to go ahead and rip out in this area. Just stick in the ripper somewhere and begin until it's all free. I have now freed that left-hand side under the flap side of the zipper, all freed from the waistband and from the under flap. I am at a point where I will have to use the razor blade to free this heavy stitching in here. There are folks who don't release this flap entirely and they're successful at replacing a zipper and putting it in without doing so. I myself am not, so that's why I'm showing you just ripping everything apart here. Victory at last. I've freed the flap using the ripper and the razor blade. Now we need to free the other side of the zipper. Again, starting up at the waistband, freeing it back as far as we can until we meet some resistance, and then free these two lines of stitching. All the way down to the bottom. Some more exciting ripping. Actually, it is exciting when you get it all ripped out. But I've just reached a stubborn spot, so I'll be right back with you after I take the razor blade to it. Okay, zipper out. Lastly, in the rip out process, we need to rip out the decorative stitching that curves along on the overflap of the zipper. So a ripping we go. Making progress. Okay, this is the waistland that is a ripped out zipper. So take the time now to pick away all the threads. First step to replacing the new zipper is dealing with the left-hand side, the under flap that's free, right side of the zipper facing, pull the tab down a ways, fold down the top flap of the zipper. I'm going to call it the top tab of the zipper a little ways. And now place that zipper in the hole that you ripped first, lining it up with the under tab and this over fabric, I'm going to call it, so that it's sandwiched in there sturdily. There's the pin. You're nicely lined up with the under tab and the over material. The zipper sandwiched in. Keep going. Making sure that the zipper is lined up on the under tab and the over fabric. Place as many pins as you need. Now I realize it may be easier to pin it onto the under tab first. Pin that zipper right on. Then go back, put the over fabric sandwiching that zipper right in there. Take the pin out. Really use your fingers on this job. And now through both thicknesses. You might make out better that way. Now obviously this zipper is too long, but we'll deal with that later. It's of no consequence right now. I'm going to tuck that zipper to the back, and we're just about ready to sew this in. Stitch the first line of stitching. Stitch the second line of stitching. Stitch now across the waistband. Looking good so far. We have the left side entirely in. Now take the right side of the zipper, bring the front flap up to it, lay it back. Once laid back like this, notice the previous stitching line underneath the zipper that you want to make sure you're aligned with. Pin the zipper on, leaving somewhat of an extension of the top tab hanging over the edge. Pin this on. Check for alignment by zipping the zipper up, which is a little awkward when only one side is sewn in. Looks like a match. This time sewing from the bottom up, first line of stitching. Second line of stitching. Sew down the top of this waistband. Alright then, we're 2/3 done with sewing in the zipper. We've got this side sewn in, we've got the underside of the front flap sewn in. Now it's time to sew the curved line of decorative stitching from the bottom to the top. Also very important at this point is that you make sure that you zip the zipper all the way up. Before stitching this down, I just went ahead and sewed all this down without zipping it up, and now I've had the heartbreak of having to rip it out because I didn't have it zipped up. I therefore couldn't zip it up after I had sewn over this part. So just remember, zip it up. Then pin all this area. And this area that I'm pinning right here is the most difficult area. We're going to be going through all thicknesses from the bottom to the top. Not only that, we must pin back this under flap entirely out of the way. One pin will probably be enough. So we now have a pin here, a few pins here that go through all thicknesses, and this is a critical point here where we're really going to go through a lot of thickness. We will necessarily, down at the bottom here, have to ride over the zipper underneath, which is bulky. So we'll probably be going very slowly and even manually in this short area here, and then we'll curve on up to the top. Takes a little doing going over the zipper. Take your time, jimmy the needle and the presser foot until you've ridden over. Follow the former stitching lines right on up. Second line of stitching. Oh, there's that zipper. Doing what it takes, doing what it takes. Okay, this actually looks pretty good. I like the curve here until I get to about here. I went a little crooked, so just because I'm the type, I'll go back and rip this little part out and go a little straighter. Wouldn't have to, but I'm going to. I'm happier with this result now of stitching along the curve. Let's release this pin over here and allow the flap to go properly where it belongs, at the base of the curve. Pin it in place, and now I'm just going to do some short stitching right through here to secure that in place. Lastly, and I do mean lastly, we're going to stitch down this area that we ripped through in the beginning, through all thicknesses, just below the curve. We're using the free arm so that we can get in here. We've got the jeans turned inside out because remember the zipper is too long, and so we probably wouldn't have to do anything further except cut it off right about here below, or maybe up here a little ways. But just to be absolutely certain that that zipper can't come down and past the stitching that we so carefully put in, we'll put a zipper stop. It's a little piece of hardware that with the needle nose pliers we'll be able to scrunch on. And I might opt to take a little piece of fabric and sew it on by hand or by machine on the bottom, just covering up this raw edge. At the beginning of this session I indicated that the steps to replacing a zipper are fairly simple. They are simple. It's just that there's a lot of bulk with jeans and there's a lot of closed area space, narrow area space in which to work. Typically, zippers are sewn into a garment early on when all the pieces are flat and they're not put together and curved yet. So that's what makes this a little tricky, a little sticky to replace a zipper. But I find it's pretty satisfying to get the job done. And now, a utilitarian functional zipper. Finished.